The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shades thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Oh, yeah, I apologize for the news, everybody, or for the noise behind me. But good morning. That's right. It's Tuesday, April 8th, and today is National Happiness Happens Day. It's also National Dollar Day, National CBD Day, National Frozen Custard Day, National Pickleball Day, Sneak Some Zucchini Into Your Neighbor's Porch Day, Gretchen, and International Infinity Day, on top of International Cat Day, Global Sleep Under the Stars at Night, and National What a Burger Day, and last but not least, Rico's favorite, National Mochi Day. Oh, yeah. Thank you for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. Yes. Oh, yes. That's right, Rico. You love mochi. Word on the streets. Yes. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. Use that fancy little QR code right there in the top hand corner of your screen to see where we live at the internet. And we're live every Monday through Friday on YouTube. And we're going to rock right into the dope dad himself, the Mochi Muncher. That's right. The dope dad himself, that's right, is none other than the Rico Lamitte.
Can people even see me right now? Or we're just audio only?
No. You're on. You are on. We can see you. Yes.
Yeah, but he's not on the live stream though.
He is on the live stream. He's on YouTube. Yes.
Okay.
You sure it's not fake news, Jason?
I mean, I'm watching it. I have it right here on this other monitor.
Better watch out. I'll send some zucchini to be put in your porch.
Oh boy. Stick a zucchini in your tailpipe.
Oh.
We're not going to fall for the banana in the tailpipe.
That's what I call a split. So on to this story. So I got some big news coming out today for all you Bud Light fans, Jason, because we know big alcohol has been hovering over the cannabis industry for years now, and I personally thought it'd just be a matter of time before folks were buying weed from a beer company. But surprise, surprise, big cannabis struck first. And if a major deal between Anheuser-Busch and Tilray actually closes, Americans will soon be buying their beer from a weed company. The Wall Street Journal reported this morning Anheuser-Busch InBev is selling 8 beer and beverage brands, including craft mainstays Shock Top and Blue Point, to cannabis giant Tilray brands for an undisclosed amount. The acquisition also includes lesser-known regional logos Breckenridge Brewery, Red Hook Brewery, and Highball Energy, among others. But it ain't just the brands InBev is letting go of. The transaction includes breweries, brew pubs, and current employees associated with the brands, too. Tilray says the purchase price will be paid in cash, and the deal is expected to close this year. President of Anheuser-Busch Premium Brand and Craft Brewer Unit, Andy Thomas, told the Wall Street Journal that Tilray reached out earlier this year expressing interest in buying the brands and breweries, and Anheuser-Busch is still committed to other craft beer brands in its portfolio. Sure thing, Andy. News of the sale comes in the wake of InBev's announcement late July that they were laying off hundreds of workers at its U.S. offices following months of poor Bud Light sales. As everyone knows, Bud Light's been having issues since April after receiving commercial backlash over a promotion with transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney. It was a big deal to the public when Mexican brand Modelo Especial took this top spot away from Bud Light as top-selling beer in the U.S. because, Mexican, they took our jobs, all that other bullshit, performative justice, snowflake conservatives, y'all get it in. But InBev will be laughing their way to the bank on this one, cashing in on more conservative snowflake tiers, because not only do they own Modelo, but since they bought Anheuser-Busch back in 2008, the most American beer company of all time has been owned by a Belgian-Brazilian conglomerate. Follow the money, people. But yeah, Tilray's move as the company's latest foray into alcoholic beverages after back in November agreeing to buy the craft brewer and hard seltzer maker Montauk Brewing. And the company says that the acquisition will make it the fifth largest craft beer brewer in the U.S., giving it a 5% stake of the entire industry. I have gout, so I no longer drink beer like I used to back in the day, so it really doesn't matter to me either way, but I'm interested in hearing from the beer drinkers in the house, craft or otherwise. Would you mind buying your favorite beers from Tilray? I'm Rico Lamitte, dopest dad on the street. What do y'all think about this one?
Again, Rico, I don't drink beer either, and this story just makes me glad that I don't drink beer.
Me too. I don't drink beer.
You wouldn't buy your beer
you
from
highfalutin people not drink beer?
Boof beer. Boof beer is what they should come out with. Yeah, boof beer.
You highfalutin. Only us good Pittsburgh girls still drink beer. What's going on?
Beer. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to walk tomorrow if I drink beer.
I mean, I even drink Iron City, which can barely be classified as beer.
My toe,
like piss water.
My big toe on my right foot would swell up, and I would not be able to walk.
Oh.
And shout out to Costco.
So if you want me to go ahead, if you want me to screw my kidneys over even more, Gretchen, go ahead, send me some beer.
All right, cool. Sweet. Jason Beck, do you have that problem? Can I send you some beer?
I mean, you can send it to me all you want. You know what I mean? I'm just not a beer drinker. I don't like the taste of it. I think it tastes nasty.
Highfalutin. All right.
No boy.
Highfalutin.
No, I just have a higher gene pool gene. You know what I mean? That makes the shit taste nasty.
Yeah, Jason's
I prefer weed to beer anyway.
Or it just tastes nasty.
I have a question. Since everyone in cannabis is hurting in every way possible, how does Tilray have the money to do this?
Tilray's been sitting on all kinds of cash because they haven't been able to enter the U.S. market, really. So they've been waiting for a bunch of smaller companies, just like Canopy was, a bunch of smaller American companies to just fall out. And they said that they weren't going to really truly enter the market until we had federal legalization ironed out. They suffered a few losses and pulled back earlier this year.
I mean, the reality, too, is if Tilray is going to focus on beverages, it's going to be a loss for them in the long run anyway, because that is the smallest segment of the smallest segment of cannabis
Jason
sales.
is a hater. Jason is a hater of all things cannabis drinkables, but is the fastest growing segment in the damn industry, Jason.
I mean,
I think you're a little wrong on that one,
you only
Jason
can say it's
it
the
might be small
fastest
now,
growing.
but
You can only say it's the fastest growing because it's the smallest segment of the smallest segment. So therefore, any growth that it had would seem like it was the most enormous.
If you are not a smoker, it's an easy way to socialize. And like I say, every single time we talk about drinkables, I don't like them at all, but all of my wife's friends, they love that shit.
Well, and if you, like Rico says, if you are a non-consumer, it is the easiest way to enter the market. And frankly, this country is very used to drinking in social situations, so it's just a natural way to bring cannabis into the mix.
I'm with you, but drinking cannabis doesn't give you the same kind of effect as like what alcohol or even water would give you. Okay, it just goes and puts people to sleep.
So we're comparing drinkables to water now.
I mean, maybe that's what they're serving in the White House. I don't know.
I'm just saying, when it comes to consumption lounges and the issues you have with smoking and all sorts of things, I mean, beverages make a lot more sense.
It's a good alternative. Yeah.
No one's going to want that shit as an alternative.
The problem is a little tiny itty bitty thing has 100 milligrams of
drink available. Right. It's only THC isolate. That's it. That's all you're going to get. And so, of course, it's not the same.
is definitely not the same. It's not going to metabolize the same in your body or anything, and drinks are going to be the biggest bust in the cannabis space.
But if you're not used to weed in any form or format, you are used to drinking, chances are like, oh, I guess I'll try this. If there's only a little bit of THC in it.
I just feel a buzz. Sure.
I
They're
doubt
gonna
it.
feel something.
I doubt it. You know, there was an interesting study. Oh, go ahead, Gretchen, and then I'll go right after
I was
you.
just going to say, let's go back to the actual story. I think this is a smart move for Tilray. What the hell? I think these guys are playing the long game when no one else in cannabis seems to be playing the long game. And I'm not talking 2 years, 5 years down the road. I'm saying they're looking out, 50 years down the road. I mean, I don't think this is a bad move on their part if they can hold it together until they can get to the long game.
It's a terrible move, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay. Are you ready for this?
Wait.
You ready for this? So there was
born ready, Jason Beck.
There was a buddy of mine that did a little study at some dispensaries and noticed first-time patients what they purchase and whether or not they ever come back. And if you are and the data shows that if you are a first-time patient and you purchase an edible or a drinkable, you're not coming back. You're never coming back. Never coming back. You're never coming back to a store ever again. If you purchase some flour and a pre-roll, then you will be back. 60%
and did he
of the time.
hypothesize on why that is, Jason Beck?
I'm willing to bet that a lot of people don't like the high of the edible high, and they're not expecting it, and it just hits them too hard, and they're like, "Oh no, I'm good. I'm not going to try that again. I'm good. I tried it. I'm good."
Yeah, they're getting too high. That's the problem.
And they don't feel anything, and then they eat another one, and then they have a terrible too high experience. Yeah,
Most of the drinkables or edible people are probably going to be buying online regardless. Like they're not used to going into dispensaries. So
they're not
probably
buying
not
this shit online, Rico. Stop it. Stop it. Do you
is
know
a
how much it
problem
costs to
with
deliver this
dosing.
shit?
And whoever can figure out the dosing and the edible and the beverage market is going to win.
I mean, coming from someone that's on the wrong coast for this stuff, Gretchen, you have no idea. In California, all the big beverage companies are doing microdose beverages. They're 2 to 5 milligrams, or it's a bigger bottle.
That's not what I've experienced out there.
Oh,
that's because you're buying your stuff
I've
in the
done
trap.
100 milligram bottles. I've seen 30
There's
milligram
some.
bottles.
That's because you're buying them in the trap,
but those are in the
Gretchen.
wrong markets. On the markets that are more mature, like California, those guys have
those are the
already-
only places I've drank beverages is California, my friend.
Well, there's a couple brands. I launched one called Artet in California in 2019 with some great guys from New York, and they're on their own now doing their thing, but it's called Artet. This is a cannabis aperitif, and it's amazing. And it's every shot or every ounce or 2 ounces or whatever is only 2.5 milligrams. So it's, look, of course, if you're going to buy a bottle of Jack Daniels and drink the whole bottle of Jack Daniels in one night, yeah, of course, that's awful too. But on a cannabis beverage kind of, philosophy, it's like, hey, come home and unwind with a cannabis beverage, not, hey, like drink like 100 milligrams or eat 100 milligram edible or something like that. I think there's definitely a case to say there's people that need that. I think there's also a case, say, like average people that want to just have a unique cannabis product, just want to have a great experience. And that's, that is exactly.
And I don't think anywhere I suggested that someone should just go and chug 100 milligram. What I'm suggesting is that
you're saying dosing. You're saying dosing is the key, and if people crack the code.
Let me finish. So, for example, when someone brings up a candy bar, and yes, it is dosed properly, that it's just a little square, but people are used to eating an entire candy bar. I'm telling you, they're not reading the label to understand, I should just eat this and just wait. No, they're going to eat 4 or 5 squares. They're like, come on, when's this thing start? And that's what I mean when it comes to dosing. The entire candy bar should be just 2.5. It should not be.
No one's going to want to consume
milligrams.
that many calories to not get barely high.
Have you met the American public? Do you know how many calories they are?
I'm not telling you. That's what the average. The average cannabis
consumer. Get into the Halloween size.
The average cannabis
candy
consumer
Jason's
is like,
such a
I do not
California
want
boy.
to eat that many calories to have that much weed. It's just
I don't think
counts calories.
I don't think it's a calorie situation. I think it's a price situation. To get that product to market, that has to be a certain wholesale price, certain MSRP to make it valuable. Otherwise, everyone's just going to be competing with Mars. So it's like they have to add a certain amount of the active ingredient in there to make it a viable, like, financial model for themselves. I think that's really what it comes down to.
They should start making the Halloween size candy, the little tiny itty bitty ones.
Yeah, the weird
baby
ones.
baby shots.
The pumpkin ones.
I'm just saying. I think Americans are too used to chugging a 24-ounce bottle of something.
You don't get the same
be
effect.
smart enough to read the label.
You don't
Right,
get the
that's
same
why it's
effect.
not going to work in a lounge. Beverages won't work in a lounge because you're there for a while. You're going to want to drink something for a while. You're not going to want to take one shot and okay, I'm done.
But
I'm
Saman is saying that it can be microdose.
They are microdose. There's a lot of them that are microdose.
Yeah, there's a lot of products that are microdose.
2 to 5.
Yes.
Yeah, can is.
But I don't even think 2
2 to 5
milligrams is enough, right?
But 2 milligrams.
I mean,
if
then you could have more.
Yeah,
and
if you're
so
going to
it's
consume
like
a six
it's like a bartender has a jigger that pours out of their liquor bottle, so that a jigger.
Yeah, what do they have? Interesting, Saman.
That's what it's called. Am I wrong? but there's all these controls in place to stop people from over consuming, whether it's alcohol or whatever. It's like we already know what to do here. It's not like it's crazy, but the problem with beverages is the distribution. They're heavy to transport, and that costs a lot of money, and it's not sophisticated enough to actually have a viable drink edible market yet because of that distribution model, until we get our government to help us out there and open up the borders so that we can get some.
Is this not going to work for Tilray?
Yeah, this
that's why I have suggested that Tilray is playing the long game. It may not make them $1 gazillion today.
Tilray has American
ship has sunk
operations.
before it's even set sail. Okay, that's basically what's happening.
A big announcement like this helps them raise money, which is what they're always doing because they're a public company, right? I want to get involved and play the long game as an investor, right? Then it's a good play. But it's a great announcement to raise money for sure.
Your financial support.
Yeah, they're going to be playing the long game, looking at all their long ass losses. But nonetheless, we're going to go to commercial and be right back.
Do it.
How's it going, guys? Saman Razani coming to you from Green Street here with Jason Beck, smoking on the best weed in the world. Did you know that we have an audio-only version of our podcast available on Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and Spotify? Tune in now and check it out.
Up next, he's the longest continuously operating retailer in the game. He's also known for smoking the best weed in the world, and it seems like they're still cleaning up after Donald Trump's messes out there in Mar-a-Lago. If I see those boxes behind you, man, they got classified markers on them.
They're classified, yes, classified boxes for sure.
Y'all know who it is, Jason Beck.
Oh, yeah, Rico. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, man, you guys, Gretchen is going to love my story. All right, because New York, that's right, New York, the CURD, C-A-U-R-D program comes to a halt with a temporary freeze on licensing. Oh, no one's getting their licenses anymore, Gretchen. In a groundbreaking move, the NYCAURD CURD cannabis licensing has temporarily halted. This comes in light of recent legal challenges against New York's Office of Cannabis Management, the OCM, regarding the licensing process under the Conditional Adult Use Retail Dispensary CURD program. State Supreme Court Judge Kevin Bryant's response... Card, whatever, card.
There's an A in there.
Whatever, curds and ways. You know what I mean? Kevin Bryant's response to last week's lawsuit was swift and decisive. The judge issued a temporary restraining order that prohibits the OCM from processing or granting any further adult use marijuana licenses under the CURD program. This decision primarily addresses the concern that disabled veterans and other minority groups the law prioritizes have been largely sidelined from obtaining these licenses. The restraining order will remain in effect until the court provides further directives, and the next significant date is Friday, when a hearing in Ulster County will further evaluate the arguments presented in the lawsuit. The four veterans at the heart of the lawsuit have collectively dedicated over 2 decades to the United States military, and their primary grievance is against the CURD program unwarranted expansion, which in their perspective lacks proper foundation in the Marijuana Regulation and Taxation Act, the MRTA. The suit emphasizes that the program, which was originally designed to grant 150 licenses, has ballooned to more than 463 in a mere fortnight. The CURD program specifically targets prospective entrepreneurs with past cannabis convictions under older drug laws. It also extends its benefits to individuals who have relatives with prior convictions. The recent explosion in the number of licenses issued indicates a potential deviation from its initial purpose, as highlighted by the plaintiffs. And with the New York CURD program cannabis licensing pause, the state's budding industry is keenly awaiting the upcoming Friday hearing. The industry hopes for a resolution that emphasizes justice and equality in the line with the MRTA. But I'll tell you what, I'm willing to bet that there's nothing that happens on this Friday hearing other than more stalls and stalls and stalls, because all I smell is more and more lawsuits coming to New York's flawed program from the beginning. That's right. And this is Jason Beck for the High at 9 News Hour. What do y'all think about this?
More
Tell you what, New York has so many problems. Right. That's right. New York has so many problems. Why do you think they're having everything's a problem, from location to illegal dispensaries, and now social equity is not working? What's the deal?
It almost sounds like they overpromised and underdelivered, just like we called it last year. Jason, did we not?
Yep. Woke Democrats in charge. That's what's going to happen.
Oh, Lord.
Did Mexico pay for that wall?
That's what it must
pay for the wall.
I mean, technically.
Did they even build a wall? Is there
Hold
a
on,
wall?
you agree with my statement, Gretchen?
Democrats are fucking it up as usual.
Yep, that's right. That's what they're doing.
Oh, what?
Go
Gretchen
broke.
is
Go woke
on Kathy Hochul, on the homegirl Hochul.
I don't know why you consider her my homegirl. No, they have issued over 400 licenses. It's on them to get these suckers up and running.
You do be sticking up for her, though, Gretchen.
What?
I said you do be sticking up for her, though.
No, for you guys to say that they've done nothing. They've issued a shit ton of licenses. It'd be nice if any of these businesses were actually viable and could just open their damn doors.
But it's like, we just opened up the licensing prospect and got money from these applicants, you mean, to do licensing that we don't have a platform for, we don't have a pathway for, we don't have a plan for? That's what you mean, Gretchen? It's like good for them for doing that? It's like they're just perpetuating the shit.
What plan?
They don't have a plan, is what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Who doesn't?
The problem is they got 400 applicants, or they got more than 400 applicants, right?
Yes.
Money. And then they only issued 400 licenses, but there's nowhere for those 400 licenses to go.
463 licenses.
Thank you for confirming, more than 400. But it's like every other state. Everyone does this, and then they get the money, and then they have to like fight over who gets the money. They don't apply that capital to like actually fixing the industry. The parts of the industry that are stagnated, like how to get resources and how to like actually conduct business when you have an entire city of 18 million people that are like, buying and selling black market cannabis. So it's like, this is just like a typical problem from, our standpoint, from like being in the industry and seeing how things have gone. You have all these new states that are just fumbling the ball. They really just need to call Jason Beck and get the game plan from Jason, because this guy knows what to do. He already has it written out, ready to go.
So would you have, I guess we would have asked for a plan first, and then they could have started issuing out the license and moved forward with the application process, versus trying to just get everybody to jump on the bandwagon, like you said. But how do they move forward at this point? Like, what can New York do to actually stop the illegal operations, to even allow the legal operations to even open? And
Nothing. They need to grandfather in the pre-existing legacy market that is running rampant on the streets and regulate them as is. That's the only choice that they have at this point, because you're never going to get them all closed down.
Like I said, Jason Beck has the plan, the man with the plan.
Just is what it is.
It
is what it is.
That's what you got to do.
Yeah,
that's what you got to do.
Well,
because you created this show.
Maybe you know what'll fix this, Jason? A photo op.
Oh yeah, photo op with Kathy Hochul walking into a store and not buying anything, not even an ashtray or a souvenir T-shirt that says "I went to New York and all I got was this lousy T-shirt made out of hemp."
I went to one of the 10 dispensaries open, and all I got
20 dispensaries.
Oh, hold on. That would be good. Like I went to this. They should all have the same shirt in all the dispensaries, and then like whatever one that they actually went to is like highlighted out of the 1 of 10 or 1 of 20. You put 10 on the front, 10 on the back. You know what I mean? I went to this store here. Mm-hmm. Those would sell. Those would sell. That they probably would have higher revenue in those T-shirt sales than they would with cannabis sales.
So, is Sean Kiernan anywhere in the vicinity of anybody's grasp? Can we get the veterans' point of view on this? Is this a win for veterans to halt the program?
I think this is a win for veterans. I mean, especially, at the same time, too, they're leaving out the disabled in all of this, too. And this whole industry was built on the backs of the disabled. So why they weren't allowed in as part of this program, too, is just baffling to me as well.
It's all right.
I mean,
we're just going to be able to get vegan food everywhere.
You're on mute, Nicole. You're on mute, Nicole. We don't get to hear what you're saying.
Yeah. Saying that, well, what the article says is they paused it, right? So it's not that it's shut down, but they paused it, and so they got to recalibrate and figure out how to move forward.
Recalibrate.
So
they got to get a judge to tell them how they can recalibrate.
No, Saman's right. They got all this money. Now they have to figure out, okay, how are we going to go spend this money? Right. So they have to sit in committee. They have to argue back and forth. They're going to hear from lobbyists.
That's right.
And,
hold on. Where's the money?
Honestly,
where's the money at,
I highly
Todd?
doubt they have all this money. No, this
they don't
money,
got no
I'm sure,
money.
has gone
They're
into
broke.
whatever money they got. I'm sure gone into the New York General Fund or whatever, and is not allocated to go fix the issues of the industry.
Go broke.
Well, right. They have to figure out where it's going. Wait, all this money came in from these 463 licenses, right?
Wouldn't it be the logical thing to say? Yeah, and the logical answer is like you come up with a structure before you take the money from the applicants, and you say, "Hey, this is how we're gonna."
There was a structure, Saman. There was no money. That was the problem. Is that they promised?
Gretchen, hold on.
Listen. No.
Oh boy! Oh, she's talking to her dogs again.
There absolutely are regulations. There's absolutely a structure. Card fell apart because they did not raise the money that they promised to give people. That's why it fell apart. And Dasny was not prepared to do this.
Regulations are not a structure.
That's what I'm talking about. You're not understanding. The conditional use license applicants were told, you show up, we give you a license, we're going to give you a turnkey operation that is all done by Dasny. That's what these guys were promised, but then they didn't raise the $200 million they needed to pull that off. That's why this program did not work.
Who wants to
That's the only issue. If that money had been there, then these guys would start opening their doors.
Let me tell you
but
something.
Now they're all sitting there unable to open.
The real reason is that the whole business model is flawed, which is why no one wanted to invest in it, which is why it is a totally flawed program.
Where's Ruben Daniels?
I'd love to believe that bureaucracy would help the situation. It's only hurting the situation by not.
I'm not saying bureaucracy's helping.
But this is a bureaucratic issue, and the real issue.
It's a money issue. It's a money issue.
And who controls the money in politics? It's the bureaucrats. So
I'm saying they didn't raise the money that was supposed to fund the shit. That's why there's a problem.
Again, bureaucratic issue. So the other part of this is like we know in politically windy states like New York, New Jersey, all these other Illinois, it's going to take forever to unwind this crap and to get back to a place where, these people are going to be treated equitably in this industry. And that's the real shame. And that's the real problem with bureaucracy is they you're on the bandwagon when they're going to when they need your money or they need your support for their elections. But when it comes to supporting people after they're in office, look what happens. We're just hanging by the wayside. We're being dangled, we're getting the carrot dangled so that we have to continue doing more work when it's those bureaucrats that need to be actually promulgating the change that they told us they were going to do. So this is just more typical BS nonsense from state and local governments. And the problem is lack of planning, plain and simple.
Perfect.
I'm just saying. You know what? We're gonna go roll right into Gretchen. We're way behind on time right now today. We got a late start. We apologize, guys. But she's the feisty redheaded conservative that loves to tell pot loving libs all about themselves. That's right. She's the founder of Panoptic Strategies, none other than the Gretchen Gailey.
Blame all of our issues on Jason Beck. He's the reason New York sucks.
Sure, blame it all on me. I'm told
I
have wide shoulders, girl.
I know.
Damn you, Jason.
All right.
Broad. So
My
broad.
headline, study shows marijuana is significantly associated with reduced use of unregulated opioids. A new federally funded study has found that marijuana is significantly associated with reduced opioid cravings for people using them without a prescription, suggesting that expanding access to legal cannabis could provide more people with a safer substitute. Researchers at the British Columbia Center on Substance Use and UCLA surveyed 205 people who used cannabis and opioids without a prescription from December 2019 to November 2021, aiming to test the theory that marijuana represents an effective harm reduction tool amid the overdose crisis. The study, published in the International Journal of Drug Policy, found that 58% of participants reported that their motivation to use marijuana was to reduce opioid cravings. And a multivariable analysis showed that cannabis use was significantly associated with self-reported reductions in opioid use. The researchers said that, to their knowledge, this represents the first study of its kind to specifically investigate outcomes of intentional cannabis use to manage opioid cravings among those who are using painkillers that they may be getting from the illicit market, which comes with a risk of obtaining contaminated products. These findings indicate that cannabis use to manage opioid cravings is a prevalent motivation for cannabis use among people who use unregulated opioids and is associated with self-assessed reductions in opioid use during periods of cannabis use. Increasing the accessibility of cannabis products for therapeutic use may be a useful supplementary strategy to mitigate exposure to unregulated opioids and associated harm during the ongoing drug toxicity crisis. The U.S. National Institutes of Health and Canadian Institutes of Health Research provided funding for the study. One of the 7 study authors disclosed that he has a professorship backed by the cannabis company Canopy Growth to research marijuana science at the University of British Columbia. This is one of the latest pieces of research in a large pool of scientific literature suggesting that marijuana can serve as a substitute for both legal and illegal substances and prescription drugs. Since we're running out of time, I'll stop there. What do you think? Canopy's the guys funding this research. Do we buy it? Do we believe it? Should they be doing this? Or do you think this is follow the money? Canopy's just trying to sell pot. That's Gretchen for High at 9 News.
I think Canopy's trying to get some kind of revenue since they ain't got any other revenues going on.
If it's true, it's great news, right? That it helps. I think it's a huge, big pharma's not going to like it. That's for sure.
No, that's for sure.
It says significantly associated with unregulated opioids. I mean, is this like street drugs?
Street drugs, Rico.
Correct.
I mean, I don't.
How do they quantify that?
Whenever there's a quote unquote study that includes street drugs, I always like, how many people are really going to be giving you the proper information if they're buying perks from the neighborhood D-boy? You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm buying,
does that include
yeah,
and does it include heroin and stuff like that too? Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Right.
like, so I'm like, I don't know about this one.
I want to know.
As we know from the history of science-backed research in our country and in any country, it's just like they can find someone who's going to be able to put the data together in a certain way to show, whatever they want. But as someone who actually has used cannabis to kind of get myself off of opioids after like a pretty severe traumatic accident that I had, I shattered my hip and I have like a bunch of hardware there and like my whole left side of my body. The power of cannabis is immense. And so, but honestly, it's the power of the mind more than anything. So it's not just a plant-based thing. It's a whole lifestyle change. And to get healthy and to remove some of these, external crutches that we, allow ourselves to kind of use that we get comfortable with. And pain is just one of those things where you're never going to escape pain in life, physical or emotional pain. We're humans. That's part of it. But, it can absolutely help.
You're absolutely right, Saman. Yep. The endocannabinoid system proves it though. And the ability for that plant to mimic cannabinoids that our body already makes to do just that. To create bliss, the using that plant as a medicine versus the synthetic forms of it, essentially, and others is what is more damaging. And so you can find that peace of mind to be able to get to where you need to go mentally, spiritually, energetically, whatever, to also help with that healing process. Yeah, for sure. And I've seen proof of that as well.
Every time I try to give peace of mind, everybody try to take peace of mind. You know what I'm saying?
Anyway, what I would hope is that from this anecdotal study, it might provide enough of a data point to urge actual clinical research moving forward. And I think that might help to spur a more definitive study. So I think this is good. Whether or not you are for or against, I think it's a good step and block. And let's keep it moving.
I want to know who they used for this study to determine this.
205 people. I don't know.
205 people.
205.
Was one of them Hunter Biden?
Perhaps. Next.
And Saman, and I don't want to belittle like anything you said, man. I feel you on that. And I actually got off opioids, my addiction, from college football in a very similar fashion, thanks to cannabis. So I just have a personal issue, like with them saying that, oh, they have street drugs or street opioids. Like, how good is that data, and how reliable are the givers of said data?
Well, at the same time, too, Rico, a lot of street opioids are actually pharmaceutical opioids that have been diverted, that have been diverted to the streets. So that could be a portion of it, also.
True.
All right. We're going to cancel the middle of the show right now. We're just going to roll right into our next speaker. Rico, are you ready for this? We're just going to roll right into Nicole Buffong.
God damn it. Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, come on. Here we go, bro. Here we go. Nicole, I hope you're getting ready.
Up next, it is the purple plant magic purveyor herself. Come to the stage. It is the Las Vegas Power 8. Is it Power 88? I don't even have this up, Jason. Thanks for just
Power 88 in Las Vegas, Nevada, the encyclopedia.
The National Community Program Director for M4M. Power 88, Las Vegas's friendly neighborhood encyclopedia on Wednesday mornings. But today she's here with us on this Talk About It Tuesday. Nicole Buffong.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, on with it. My story comes out of Ghana today. And, I like making sure we keep updated on what's happening globally. But Ghana embarks on path to hemp liberalization, paving the way for medical and industrial use. Recently, Ghana announced that they are going to be allowing medical use of cannabis in the country, which is great. And so legalizing it in a sense. But it is making significant strides towards the liberalization of hemp, signaling its intentions to explore both medical and industrial applications, a move that places the nation at the forefront of a global trend. Ghana is poised to take a leadership role alongside South Africa within the African continent. The growing recognition of hemp's vast potential is prompting countries worldwide to reconsider their stance on the plant. Beyond its medical and industrial benefits, the financial aspect, including investment opportunities and its impact on tourism, are driving nations to fully embrace cannabis legalization. Notable examples include the US, Canada, Uruguay, and most recently, Thailand. Closer to home, developments in the European Union are also gaining momentum. Germany, known for its restrictive approach, is currently in the process of legalizing private cannabis use. Experts such as Michel von Tel, a prominent political advisor to a ruling party, anticipate a domino effect within the EU. In fact, von Tel stated in a recent interview that he foresees the entire EU embracing cannabis legalization in the foreseeable future. With Germany potentially joining the ranks of progressive cannabis policies, a significant portion of the EU's population could soon be living in countries with a more modern approach to cannabis, hopefully. Notably, Spain, Portugal, Malaga, Czech Republic, Belgium, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands have already taken significant steps towards widespread legalization, collectively representing over 300 million citizens. Michel Vitel regards this development as a pivotal turning point that will rapidly propagate globally. As Ghana ventures further into the liberalization of hemp, the nation stands at the precipice of a transformative era in medical, industrial, and economic terms. Embracing this opportunity will not only catapult Ghana's progress, but also serve as a beacon for other African nations seeking to capitalize on the far-reaching benefits of cannabis. The journey towards a more inclusive and modern approach to cannabis has begun, and Ghana's leadership in this endeavor is sure to have a lasting impact on the continent and beyond. I'm so grateful to hear this, and all the work that's being done in Africa. I I'm a big fan, and I've been talking with communities in the Caribbean and on the ground in Africa. Is Africa being the leader of hemp cultivation globally, especially being able to have an open type of market between the Caribbean and Africa, where Africa would produce all the industrial hemp goods and products and building material that they would need to have a sustainable infrastructure, a more sustainable infrastructure throughout the Caribbean. And the Caribbean specifically focusing on their land-raised genetics and seeing what comes out of that. Because I know there's plenty of medicine. Only grow it in those specific places throughout the Caribbean. Don't let those genetics grow anywhere else. And they would have a corner of the market that would really be valuable. So this is Nicole Buffong reporting for High 9 News. I'd love to hear what everyone thinks about Ghana actually going into the industrial hemp industry and really looking at it being profitable for them.
Soon we will be seeing some Ghanaian ganja.
It's a smart move. I believe that hemp fiber and industrial hemp can save the world, really. I mean, it really can, from an economic standpoint, from a global warming standpoint. You know, hempcrete is way stronger than regular concrete. You need that, you know, in the Caribbean because there's hurricanes all the time, right?
There's not enough land space in the Caribbean for them to try to bring the material and the machinery that they need to produce hemp there. It doesn't make sense. Like,
it's a smart move
for them to be an open market.
It's a smart move for Africa. It'll change their entire economy if it's done properly.
Maybe they can get off that Chinese.
Like Belgium and France that still owned Africa and China.
Now. And maybe they can get off that Chinese bullshit, them payday loans that they are offered by China.
Stop it, bro.
that ain't happening.
You're
that
so
ain't happening
silly.
with the rise of electric vehicles and, you know, that renewable energy source. I mean, that's, you know, they're just mining, they're stripping the country of all its minerals. You know, I mean, hemp is literally, farming is probably the only option they have in the future because they don't have any equity in those industries like mining and stuff.
I think it's even more important.
You know who all that is, Jason?
Well, hold on. I think it's even more
Donald
important
Trump pulling out of those shithole countries. Remember?
Slow down. There's plenty of shithole countries out there. All right, but here's the thing: is that this can actually be a very transformative thing for their whole farming industry overall, because you can actually pull the toxins out of the ground and be able to repopulate that soil for actual farm production. So this could be a multi-generational, really true benefit for the country of Ghana. I'm in big support of this. I think this is going to be a great thing. And the fact that they're not talking about growing weed to import weed to all these other countries is just a win for them too. It sounds like some economic person over there has their head on straight.
I wish the U.S. would take a look at that and do it here as well.
That's right.
No, conversion leaders are too valuable, Todd.
With a two-party system, good luck.
Yes. We're gonna
burn
keep,
it down.
We're gonna keep it rolling. You're getting too sideways now, Rico, all the way. We're gonna roll. We're gonna scroll right sideways. We're gonna scroll right on into one of my other liberal friends. That's right, Mr. Todd Denkin. He's the founder of the Smuggleverse, and as well as the founder and owner of DigiPath Labs, where you should get all your cannabis tested when you're in Nevada. That's right.
Yes.
It is none other than the voice, Mr. Todd Denkin.
Thank you, Mr. Beck. Thank you very much. So from Marijuana Moment, updating some new developments in Wisconsin. Top Wisconsin GOP lawmaker plans to file medical marijuana bill this fall as state becomes island of prohibition. Top Wisconsin Republican lawmaker says his party is aiming to file a long-discussed but as yet unseen medical marijuana bill this fall. The comment comes as Democrats draw attention to the fact that the state is now an island of prohibition in the region, with one legislator visiting a dispensary and buying cannabis in nearby Michigan over the weekend. As Minnesota's marijuana legalization law went into effect last week, Wisconsin Assembly Speaker Robin Vos said that his caucus is, quote, crafting a proposal that we hope to bring forward this fall, giving a timeline for the legislation in a new interview with the Wisconsin State Journal after repeated pledges to introduce medical marijuana legislation. Vos's prior comments have been met with skepticism from Democrats, including the pro-legalization Senate Minority Leader, who says she has yet to hear from her Republican colleagues about any substantive plans to advance the issue. Details about the proposal haven't been released, but the expectation is that it would be a strictly limited measure that may prove too restrictive to earn the support of Democrats who want to see Wisconsin follow the lead of neighboring states like Illinois and Minnesota that have legalized marijuana for adult use. In the meantime, Wisconsinites are taking advantage of those outside state markets, including Representative Christina Shelton, who toured a Michigan cannabis business over the weekend and said in a Twitter post that she, quote, grabbed incredible merch and, yes, purchased some product. Here's the deal, folks. The most dangerous thing about cannabis is that it's illegal in Wisconsin, she said. Senate Minority Leader Melissa Agard, who has been a vocal advocate for marijuana reform and recently raised the issue with the Biden administration officials during a meeting at the White House, shared Shelton's post and said that it's not a matter of if Wisconsin will enact legalization, but when. The devil is in the details, and frankly, the majority party in Wisconsin has the ability to deliver on pretty much anything they want to get done due to their gerrymandering majority, Agard told Marijuana Moment in a phone interview on Monday. It's really interesting to me that with the heat being turned up in Wisconsin, with the possibility of more fair maps and fair representation, that the Republican Party is waking up to the will of the people, she said, referencing lawsuits that have been filed in the state Supreme Court challenging the constitutionality of the GOP-drawn legislative district maps. A new justice was recently sworn into that court, giving it a 4-3 liberal majority that could bolster the chances of the lawsuit's success. Agard said, if in fact Speaker Voss actually puts something forward, again, it's vitally important that we look at the details of that policy and make sure that it matches up what the people in Wisconsin are actually asking for. But this is not the first time that Voss has suggested his caucus would be doing work to come up with medical cannabis bill. He's routinely talked about being open to incremental reform over the years and previously said he planned to introduce legislation later in the summer of this year. According to Agard, she said, clearly people have been asking the speaker about this for a long time, and he continues to pivot away from actually doing something that will provide relief and forward momentum in the state of Wisconsin. They need to get it done right as opposed to just getting excited about having a bill introduced without the adequate review of the people who it's impacting the most. An analysis that the minority leader requested from Legislative Fiscal Bureau earlier this year estimated that Wisconsin residents purchased more than $121 million worth of marijuana from legal retailers in neighboring Illinois in 2022, contributing about $36 million in tax revenue to the state. A separate report published by Wisconsin Policy Reform in February found that 50% of adults 21 and older in the state live within 75 minutes of an out-of-state cannabis retailer. That percentage stands to increase now that Minnesota's market is coming online. According to the minority leader, most of us know people that are doing this, and it's not good for the state. It's not making us safer, be on an island of prohibition. It's not helping our prosperity. It's not honoring people's personal liberties and freedom. In fact, it's continuing to push us backwards. Wisconsin Senate rejected 2 amendments, as reported here on High at 9 News back in May, to a budget bill that would have legalized marijuana in June, including one led by Agard, putting lawmakers on record about the popular voter-supported policy. After Republican senators stripped cannabis provisions from the governor's budget in committee in May, the minority leader gave the full chamber a chance to enact a reform with one omnibus amendment that would have restored several administrative priorities, including marijuana legalization and another clean measure focused exclusively on legalizing cannabis. The result in the GOP-controlled legislature isn't entirely unexpected, but it does represent the first time that voters got a clear sense of where all their senators stand on the issue. During last year's election alone, voters in 3 counties and 5 municipalities approved referenda voicing support for cannabis legalization, which is a reform that's also backed by the governor, but has consistently stalled under GOP leadership in Madison. The governor said in January that he does believe Republicans will introduce medical cannabis legislation this session, and he's committed to signing it into law so long as it's not flawed with too many limitations. Governor and the GOP majority have a strained relationship on the issue. Leadership has criticized Evers for putting adult use legalization in recent budget requests. The Assembly Speaker warning this year that including the broad reform could jeopardize talks on more modest medical marijuana legalization. He did it anyway. And at a joint committee hearing in May, Republicans responded in kind, stripping both recreational and medical cannabis language from the budget proposal, along with hundreds of other policy items. I'm Todd Denkin with High Night News, and basically it's the GOP in Wisconsin saying, if you don't play by my rules, I'm going to take my bong and go home.
Yeah, and they're going to
the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Yeah, the Wisconsin Supreme
Prohibition
Court is
Island
turning liberal.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that. That is brilliant because it's exactly what they've ended up being. It's so brilliant.
I know.
Love it.
The mad real world.
Yeah, no, I love this story. I love the fact that a Republican has taken the lead and to introduce or is going to say that he's going to take the lead to introduce some form of cannabis legalization. So take that, you guys. What do you guys have to say about that?
With some mysterious bill that nobody's seen yet. I think he's politicking.
I mean, what are you talking about? Chuck Schumer was saying he's going to come out with a bill on 420 and left you guys all high and dry. You guys didn't even see anything till August.
That sounds like what about, right?
I mean, it's not what about. I'm just saying, like you can't complain about stuff that you don't complain about when your own party does. That's all that I'm saying.
Yeah, no, hold on. This goes back to Scott Walker. If you want to talk about the root of the problem and why Wisconsin is on this prohibition island, it's because Scott Walker took all that power and made it so he neutered the Democrats before they came into office. And they're reaping all of the benefits of that now. And then now that there's an issue, Republicans are like, oh, only I can fix this. Sounds like a game we played before.
That's right.
I mean,
dude, I think you're giving a whole lot more power to Scott Walker than he deserves, frankly. It's just Democrats haven't found their balls in 100 fucking years? Come on.
Yeah, pretty much.
If you want legalization, do it. Frankly, I'm surprised Wisconsin took this long. I really am. With everything else that was going on in their neck of the woods.
They're going to have
followed suit with their neighbor in Ohio.
And then they could actually.
They had to wait on what?
Realize that they were fucked.
They had to wait
until they were on Prohibition Island. It's like Republicans just like to do shit.
Dude,
like
that
they
should
want to
be
make
like the next
interesting.
dating game, Prohibition Island.
They're gonna have. They're gonna have medicated.
This is what happens when this is what happens when you vote for a reality TV president. You get a bunch of reality TV politics that are permeating our culture.
Rico, they're gonna have.
What the hell y'all are talking about?
Rico, they're gonna have medicated cheese. You realize that,
dude? I was out there. I was out there. Mars cheese. I was out there in Wisconsin, and I felt really bad for. I was out there in Wisconsin. Went into the little vape shop and everything to get me some papers, and they tried to sell me some Delta 8. Man, I was like, nah, man.
Aww.
Of course they did.
I brought my own, bro.
Of course they did.
Broke them off a nug.
Let's move into this so we can wrap this up, Rico.
I was out there like a philanthropist.
Look, real weed from California.
Here, let me
Rico, we need to move to Saman so we can wrap this up.
Let's keep it going. All right. So this dope dad is a student and true believer in the medical properties of cannabis, and for over 15 years helped develop products in Colorado, California, Florida, Massachusetts, and New Jersey. Dropping a little talk about it Tuesday knowledge to bring us home today, Saman Razani.
Salute to all our fans and listeners out there. We got a great story. Maybe just the start of a little bit of financial reprieve for us cannabis operators. This one goes out to all my Mainers out there. Big shout out to my boys out there, Third Shift Resin. You guys got some stuff to talk about with your accountant soon. Maine's latest state to offer marijuana businesses some 280E tax relief. This one's from MJ Biz Daily. Maine will allow legal marijuana businesses to take some tax deductions on their state returns to make up for forbidden expenses on their federal taxes. The new tax freedom is the result of a bill, legislative document 1063, recently signed into law by Maine's Democratic Governor Janet Mills. Shout out Janet for hooking it up. The legislation makes the income tax deduction for cannabis business expenses currently available to registered caregivers and registered dispensaries, also available to cannabis establishments and testing facilities. Todd, that sounds great. Maine is the 17th state to offer some relief on the state level of marijuana companies chafing under the federal tax code. Section 280E of the tax code prohibits marijuana operators from deducting traditional business expenses on their federal tax returns. Under Maine's new law, which was first reported by Marijuana Moment, cannabis tax money will be shifted into the state's general fund to make up for the projected $2.5 million in reduced state revenue. Efforts in Congress to reschedule marijuana.
Uh-oh.
Did we lose? Saman, you froze on us. Right when we were about to get some good news about 280E too. Fucking.
Right.
Oh, man.
Well, all right. The number one thing to remember about this is there is no actual relief to 280E. All they are doing is giving relief to state taxes, not your federal.
I mean, just saying.
So you saying they need all these headlines need to stop saying that.
Yeah, they're getting me excited, and all of a sudden,
just say tax.
I'm getting let down.
Say tax relief.
See, Saman pushing some bullshit. Always.
Yep, is that propaganda?
A word that comes out of that
propaganda.
So shocking, he froze.
But just so you know, you can go to our
attacking
website.
My man when he's over there.
But he's frozen and can't defend himself.
Well,
I love
just so everyone knows, you can head over to our website, www.highat9news.com, and you can read the full article for yourself, and you can be the determining factor.
But they are taking, they're making tax deductions available for Maine's cannabis. So
there you go.
Sorry, guys. I don't know what happened.
You want to finish it up?
We already burned you to the ground, so don't worry. You don't have to finish it.
All these conservatives were just piling on you, man. You can see it in the replay, but you want to finish the story real quick? You want to summarize it for us?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where I left off. I was just my story.
Get no more than a two-second summary.
Again, the situation with 280 taxes is a big deal. I mean, the fact that they're extending this, I think, is a great idea, and obviously, it's a help to the operators. We need more relief, but it's just a little bit of good news on the tax front for operators, and I think any news is good news when it comes to saving money on our taxes. And that's it. This is Saman Razani reporting for High at 9 News. Sorry for the technical difficulties.
Saman, Gretchen says it ain't going to do anything.
It ain't going to do anything? Well, no.
I said it's only for state taxes, not for federal. Right.
Well, what they're doing is they're allowing,
say you a liar.
They're allowing some extra deductions from those people. I think that's good. It's not going to amount to a ton. I mean, I think that's true. Correct? I think yes, at the state level.
But most of the states that have a program, they already give you 280E relief already.
I mean, that's the first step, is just the tax code reform for cannabis businesses. They've done reforms to Fire Protection Association rules and regulations and code that we have to follow. They need to do that and follow suit with federal tax code as well. But that's going to come last, unfortunately, as we all know. But it's a step in the right direction by Maine. Maine is taking the initiative. I think Janet Mills is, that's a great thing they're doing. We'll see how it all pans out. But thank you guys for listening and tuning in today. And Gretchen, of course, it's not going to amount to a lot. You're absolutely right. But it is a little bit, and the little bits stack up. The little bits stack up.
See, was it just a misnomer, or is this fake news?
Fake news, fake headline.
Yep, fake news, fake headline. Yep, just trying to get people excited for nothing, basically.
Sounds like Donald Trump.
No, we're seeing this happen from state to state. At what point are they just going to just make it a broad legislation?
Oh, they can't.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, what are you talking about? They're not going to give no 280E relief until there is some sort of federal excise tax. You're never going to get rid of 280E until there's something like that happens, and that's only going to happen with federal legalization.
I wouldn't go that far.
I'll put money on it.
I'm just saying, after safe banking taxes, 280E is up next.
And Gretchen is wrong.
You're not the one who's pounding the pavement and pushing the legislation, Jason Beck. I'm telling you, after safe banking happens, 280 is next on the agenda.
I'm just telling you, 280
Same
is
thing
not
gonna
getting
happen.
replaced
I'm
without,
telling you.
without some
Telling
type of
you.
excise tax.
Telling you.
That's all I'm
When's it
saying.
gonna happen?
Telling you. Who wants to bet me?
Gretchen
Who wants to
Gretchen
take on
wants
this
you to-
spicy redhead?
So in summary, Gretchen wants
She's all
Jason
fired up.
to pound the pavement, and Jason wants Gretchen to pound sand. And thank you all for joining us today for another episode of High at 9 News. And catch us live weekdays 9 a.m. Pacific, high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to the Superfan Show and love putting their comments live on the big screen, and the live audience and members and supporters catching us across all media platforms, tuning in for the cannabis conversations of chaos. To our vetted correspondents tuning in from all over, bringing us much needed variety of perspective and your respected opinions to the table. Our production team, Cloud Media Partners, House of Fuego, and all of our sponsors, for the most part, keeping our lights on. You know, sometimes it's good to do a little dirt in the dark. Everybody else out there, y'all know the Cannabis Sativa L is the reason that we show up every day to read these headlines. Thank you, babe. It has been Tuesday, August 8th, 2023. The show's over. You've all been blessed with the top industry headlines. Hope it was enough for you to put in your pipe and smoke at least until tomorrow. My name is Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street. I'd like to give this one to Gretchen. Take us out today. What you got for us?
I don't know. I'm so excited. That just came out of nowhere. Thank you. I'd like to thank all the little people, all the little libs who keep fucking this shit up. Stay strong. Publicans will take you home.